Here we go, guys, and we've got another week and a week of talking points. Really, we're getting closer to finals footy. First, before we dig deep into this, I want to obviously welcome back the vice captain Sid. It's great to see you back. He's shown his face. He had the versus Danes team obviously on the weekend. They got the victory, but he's the one showing his face. So. Nothing but respect there, but a lot of people know this guy, and it's obviously Luke from the Rugby League Lounge, and he stepped in off the bench, a late call-up, had him on the reserves, had him in 19th man, and look, we've had a couple of injuries, and he's been called up. He's been kind enough to join me on short notice. It's probably midnight over there, so he's woken himself up. First of all, Luke, how are you? And obviously a massive privilege to be on this show.
Yeah, mate. You summed it up brilliantly. A massive privilege, but yeah, call me Moses Stooley, 18th man, a double off the 18th man spot. So pleasure to be here, mate. But yeah, 10:30 here, but yeah, no rest for the wicked. I'm ready to go.
Well, mate, when you're a Storm fan and you've been riding a high for 17 odd weeks now, 18 weeks, I don't think there's any excuses. I wouldn't be sleeping if that was my team. Sid, Dragons, man, just quickly want to check in. How are you? How's things going?
Yeah, all right. I don't know why it feels it's that probably a reflection of my club. Actually, they did better than what I thought. They scored 22 points against the Roosters. We got to see a couple of tries. Tufty was in the mix again, so a little bit of a threat. It was good. No, I can't complain. It's the Roosters. What do you expect?
This is the happiest you've been in a few weeks, and it's weird. It's got to that point for your team, which is a sad thing. But look, on a high and on good things, let's start off with the weekly weapon. So weapon of the week, and a little bit of a left field one, this one, boys. But I wanted to give it to Connor Watson, and not for what he's doing on the field, which is obviously good quality stuff. So it could be, but more so with in regards to his signing and the way it all carried out. Now, look, I don't know if people know this or not, but he is his own manager. So he actually doesn't have a manager. He does it all himself. And interestingly, without a manager, there was no back page stories. There was no Fox Sports. There was no this or that. He wasn't shopping himself around that we know of anyway. Basically, everyone thought he was going to become a knight for another few more years, build with Ponga. Next day, signed with the Roosters, and we've heard that it was probably one or two chats he had with Robinson to get this to organise. And honestly, boys, it's so refreshing to not see a manager push his player, get all the media headlines and talk to all their mates in the media, go, oh, get my player X amount of dollars. He's done it. No one knows what he's signed for, so he could have signed for peanuts, or he could be there for 500,000. We don't know, but honestly, I don't care. It's been so nice and refreshing. Sid, what are your thoughts on this matter? Because I feel like the more we go each year, the more managers have a say in things, and it just feels so refreshing.
Yeah, I could tell you're pretty sick of the circus that is the media and managers manipulating things, fabricating rumors, stuff like that to drive prices up. Look, that's good. I've got plenty of time for Connor Watson, both on and off the field. He's a utility player. He's a Mr. Fix-It. That tells me he's rugby league between the ears, punches above his weight, and sounds like an intelligent guy if he's brokering his own deal. I will say it makes sense that he's gone back to the Roosters. I don't know if you recall, he did come through the ranks there, so he has a relationship with Robinson, and why not go to all hate aside, a very, very well-run club with an excellent coach.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, Luke, you're obviously a Melbourne man, and the Storm do it so well when it comes up with players up out of contract, things like that. We don't get too much of what we get for me and Sid being our club sort of just gets smashed in the papers. Managers like to sell us off, but so you wouldn't deal with this too much. But obviously it's quite refreshing to see Connor be his own manager and get all this thing done himself.
Yeah, and I think Sid summed it up pretty well. A lot of the times the issues with managers, they've got their main priority is the cash. At the end of the day, his decision was purely made from his heart. All the things that, what matters was factored into his decision. And look, for me as a selfish fan of rugby league, I would have loved him to either stay at the Knights or go to another franchise and change the dynamic of someone else's attack. Because look, I think he is going to be awesome for the Roosters. Look, I think next year, man, the Roosters, after all these guys come back from injury, him wherever he fits in the bench, there's also talks. I heard Cameron Smith saying potentially he might even be their hooker, even though Verrills has been there, could be a potential option there. Look, the rich get richer, but look, credit to him. Like, he is an awesome player. He's probably one of my favorite players to watch. And yeah, very happy with the decision he's made, because I know that the decision was purely his.
Yeah, you've opened up a talking point that I'm going to dig into in a few weeks' time, but the Roosters look pretty scary next year. Really building up nicely with a side that they're going to have full access to the salary cap again next year, so it's going to be quite good times for the Roosters. Look, we do a segment here, Luke, where we call someone out. It's Flog of the Week, so we do it in a playful manner, of course, but just to generate a little bit of a laugh. It also put a point across. And this week, I was there watching. I don't know if you two were, but I was watching the Warriors Broncos game yesterday, and there was a try right at the end by Ewan Aitken. And if you guys have watched the highlights, you would have seen it. But it was a weird one, because I thought any angle showed Coates put his hands on the ball first, and then some. Even the commentators, everyone was saying it. They're like, "Yeah, all right, this will go out to the 20. I drop out, and away we go." And next minute, we just see the green light pop up, and I felt like the only person who witnessed that as a try was Henry Perenara. Now, the other week we called him out a bit because he was doing some howlers as well. Now, my biggest worry is heading into finals, that try right there could have literally got someone through and knocked a team out and ended their season. Now, I'm all for referees making mistakes. They're on the field, normal time, that's fine. But when these bunker officials have access to everything they do, they watch it time and time again. They'll watch things where us at home look at the screen, and after one or two takes, yep, that's what's happened. They look at it 10 times. They confuse the crap out of themselves. I'm worried. I've got to be honest. I'm worried. Sid, where are you standing here with the bunker? I don't know if you watched yesterday's game, so I don't know if you know the try I'm talking about, but where are you at with the bunker at the moment?
I watched bits and pieces, but of that game. But luckily enough, I switched over, and then I saw it when it was happening, when they were doing the grounding thing. It was one of the times I switched over, and I thought, here we go, no try, and then even the commentators said that's Oates' hands, or was Coates?
Coates, yeah, Coates.
Coates' hand. And they go, oh no, that's it. And he just gave a try. I will point out something. I mean, you mentioned that they have access to the footage and all that. Not only do they have access to the footage and several replays, they have control of it. We don't have control of it when we watch it at home and we can see it. He has control. He has everything in his power. All he has to do is keep the eyes open, and it's unfortunate. I don't know. I can't explain it. And the other problem is they watch things in super slow-mo, and you're seeing a lot of quality plays being pulled up for little things, for these tiny things. And the game, as Andrew Johns always says, and he's doing everyone's head in, the games are played in super slow-mo. He even said it on Sunday when the Dragons game went on the Channel 9 coverage. Game's not playing in super slow-mo. I feel like a broken record here. It's just not right. So those are the two problems for me. Making errors after watching it for 10, 12 times, and the super slow-mo has just got to stop. Yes, have a look, but play it at full speed at least once, especially those late hits when the guy passes. Penalty every time. You can't pull out of those.
Yeah, 100%.
That's another story.
100% with you there. We could laugh about this topic for a while. Luke, I want to get some fresh thoughts on this topic, because I think everyone who listens to us knows that we haven't been happy with the bunker for quite some time. But not just the bunker, obviously yesterday's ruling. Where were you at with it?
So in terms of having a video referee or the bunker, like, I'm for it in the sense that at the end of the day, like, I want to get the right call. The right call I want to be made. But it hasn't, even with this technology, the right call still hasn't been made. So it's like, obviously there's two sides of the argument. I'm on the, yes, I want the right decision to be made. And then there's probably the other side where, scrap the bunker. Yes, we're going to make mistakes, but let's just make decisions more in the flow of the game, like you said, normal speed. But if the bunker is unable to do that, even with the technology they've got, it's just an absolute shambles, really. And I tend to agree with you guys. Yeah, it is. Like we've got eyes, like you said. Everyone thought it was, like the commentators. It was one of the most crazy reactions I've seen, and fair reactions I've seen as a commentator. Like, we've seen enough. Replay after replay after replay. I should have put a time on it. Felt like forever. And then they still got the wrong call. It's just absolutely insane. So I tend to agree with you guys, even though I see the purpose of the bunker, it's not doing its job.
Yeah, it was a weird one because as soon as Aiken done it, he obviously celebrated thinking it was a try. And then afterwards, when they were watching the replay, you could see in his expressions and what the team was doing, they were like, all right, no worries, it's no try. Let's just try and dig in here and get a loose ball if we can. And then all of a sudden, a popped up try, and they just were all gobsmacked and celebrating like they won the grand final. So you could tell the players didn't think that was a try. So that they know the game better than anyone. So the other interesting thing is we were sold the bunker from the NRL saying that they were going to fix the howlers. I'd argue if we went back through, the bunker has created more howlers than it has fixed. That's where I'm at with it. So they're over officiating it. You can hear him in the referee's ear, set by set at the moment, and it's just not a good look. Let the referees do what they've got to do, then be there checking things out that really need to be stopped and looked at when there is a stoppage in play. Otherwise, the final series this year is going to be robbed because of some really poor officiating, which Dane said it last week on our video, it's probably been the worst the officiating's been for quite some time at the moment. So in terms of consistency, so it's a little bit of a worry. What about, we're going to go on to a couple of points here. And the first one has both come out today, guys. So put these straight in. And if I was going to do a flog of the week, I've got to single out these two as well. Adam Elliott and Curtis Scott. Both Curtis Scott has been sacked by the Raiders from obviously the nightclub scene that we all know about a few months ago. And it's finally all been done now and punishment's handed down. Adam Elliott, for mine, this is a new one, and I actually find that this is worse than, not worse than the Curtis Scott incident, but this is it's one of those moments. It's just stupid. He's at the start of the year, he did what happened, and everyone knows the story. And honestly, just one of the worst things you can do as a bloke in general to your mates and just anyone in general. And then he's gone ahead and said in the press after that, I've got to stop drinking and I've got to get my life back on track and my career. Everyone brought into it and said, yeah, no worries, let's give him a chance. He started off all right this year. I'll give him credit. He was playing pretty good football. It's pretty hard to do too much in that Dogs outfit at the moment, but going pretty well. And then it's come out on the weekend. He was kicked out of a joint because he's drinking way too much. Now, boys, there's 2 weeks left in the season. What are you doing at the moment? You're in a bubble. There was nothing wrong with the bubble. They're allowed to do it, so that's all good. But you're 2 weeks away from being able to do whatever you want for the next few months, really. You're out of the limelight. You've got 2 games to go where you can go, you know what, boys, it's been a tough year, but let's just put in. He himself has had some absolute massive dramas. This year alone, you'd think any player out there who should be on their best behavior right now, it's him, and it wasn't to do so. Sid, I know you love to put the boot into the Dogs. I know you love it. I don't think it's necessarily one of those cases you want to do that, though. I think it's a bit of a wake-up or a bit of an annoyance more than anything.
Man, I'm glad you said that before you let me speak. I want to say it's a social issue with him personally. I'm afraid, I've been around. I'm 41 years old. I've seen it. I've been drinking with blokes that know how to stop, blokes that have 2 drinks the whole night, blokes that make it look like they're drinking and nurse 1 drink the whole night, and then blokes that just keep going and going and going. They don't have that field. And now we're talking about a social issue here, and it's not footy, but there's an instinct inside you when I've drank 20, 30 drinks in a night when I was a young bloke, But there's a thing inside you where you look at the drink and you go, nah.
Tank.
Yeah, mate, I've done it. You should have seen me on my buck. You missed out. You were in Queensland. And, and you can look at the drink and you go, you know what? It might be the 20th, it might be the 11th, or it might be the 12th or whatever. And then you say, you know what? Swap it for water. Or you know what? Let's get out of here. I'm going to Macca's, But some blokes don't have that limit. They don't have that trigger inside them. They just keep going, especially when you have limitless money. If you go out with $200, even if you don't have that limit, you burn your money and you can't buy any more. That's fine. But this guy's got no limit, I feel like, and he's got unlimited money. He can drink 600, 700 on the bar and do something silly. There's a real problem. I think he's got a drinking problem, and I think he needs to quit forever. You can't have a casual drink, blokes like that, sadly. But if he wants to save his career, and like I said, not end up in the Centrelink line, like Todd Carney, who threw away his gift, his career, his opportunity, and Ben Barber, who threw away his gift, his career, that I only know 10,000 blokes that will give their right arm to play NRL. Their right arm, myself included. But he's done that, and he's doing it again, and he's doing it again. He needs to quit drinking. It's over. No more drinking.
Yeah, let's just say right now you're GM of the Dragons. If he becomes available on the open market tomorrow morning, would you sign him?
No. There's a culture problem that comes with someone like that, a stigma. Probably last resort, a coach like Wayne Bennett or a Craig Bellamy will take him for peanuts to mentor him, but not my club. No, we would not take him.
I don't even have to ask you that question, Luke, because I know that the outfit at the Storm and what their culture's like, they would not even entertain him even coming down for an interview. But what are you making of this situation for both himself and actually for you, Curtis Scott, I guess, he's an ex-Melbourne player, and you guys obviously got rid of him before it sort of became a bit too much. You could obviously see the cracks there. So if you know a little bit more about the Curtis Scott situation, fill us in. But yeah, what's your thoughts on both of these players?
Yeah, no, I probably can't give you too much more information about the Curtis Scott situation, but obviously, yeah, a bit of a, does have a place and kind of, my heart. Obviously, being part of a premiership winning side, it's always, you always, even when they leave, you want to see them flourish, and it's been really disappointing to see what's come of Curtis's career afterwards. And yeah, just the two scenarios in general, they're just like, as a whole, our game does get put on this pedestal where I think when people think about rugby league, we do think about the off-field dramas, and we're just adding another layer to that, which is really sad to see. And you bring up Todd Carney before, and look, I don't blame the league for having a tough stance, because at the end of the day, we want to grow the game. We want to sell this game to our kids. We want their parents to, let our kids pursue a career where there's, a good moral outcome at the end of the day. And look, if you've seen these guys pissing up and whatever else is happening, is that really what you want your kids to strive towards? I think the NRL could do better at putting harder stances on other crimes. I know there's some other stuff that they kind of, they've let a few other little indiscretions, players that have done indiscretions that are probably worse than the drinking side of things back in, but that's a story for another day. So yeah, overall, it does suck to see this, but I'm happy with the stance that the clubs have made so far. So at least that's one positive come out of it. But I hope the rest of the NRL can learn from this. But at the end of the day, there's been plenty of other instances where you think, oh yeah, hopefully other players will learn from this, like the barbecue incident not too long ago. Obviously, this is a bit bigger, but it's still another violating the rules and whatnot. But yeah, it just seems to be adding fuel to the fire. We stick to the media, but we're dishing it on a silver platter.
Yeah, mate. Look, I should have warned you about this, but you've come in and straight away you've broken one of our rules, which is we don't mention the barbecue incident anymore because Sid has taken that a bit too much, too harshly, and it's sort of we've gone. You know what? If he's had a bit too much this year to deal with, we're not going to do it anymore. And it's like talking about the choke with Parramatta. We just don't do it anymore. So, look, mate, that's your first official warning. Keep going. You might have to get suspended for a week or two.
Hey, all I can say is you should be proud of Ben Hunt, mate. He good leader of them to stay home. So that's all I can say. He did a great choice that night.
Mate, if they had a squad of 30 of Ben Hunts, they would not be in the situation they're currently in.
Exactly.
Look, boys, let's talk about a team that for mine has been so lucky that there's been other teams at certain weeks or little periods who have been going poorly. They've slipped under the radar for mine, and I think it's about time people start calling them out, and that's the North Queensland Cowboys. For mine, it's been a year where it's been so confusing for a neutral. I can't imagine what a Cowboys fan is feeling at the moment. I want to use the example of Jason Taumalolo as the epitome of their season so far. He has been all over the shop in terms of the forward pack. He has not had a consistent run of even just minutes on the field. He's normally an 80-minute player. He hasn't been getting that consistently at all this year. He's at lock 1 week. He's gone to prop. He's gone to the edge. The Cowboys, for mine, are so up in the air. They've got a coach there that worked so well with the side last year, and I feel like they've tried to rush that process this year and thought, all right, this will be easy. Todd Payton will be able to come in and just do the magic. He'll wave his magic wand and it's all good. They haven't had the squad for mine. I looked at the squad at the start of the year and I was so confused with what these guys were going to do. I don't know where to go for the Cowboys because I look at next year, and me and Luke had a chat about this the other day, but they're not improving much at all next year. And it's for mine, if I was to put up a team now for the wooden spoon, it would be the Cowboys for next year. That's how much I don't think they have to look forward to. Sid, where are you at with the Cowboys? Because obviously both our sides have had a chance to be in the limelight for the wrong reasons, and helped cover the Cowboys' issues up. They're now on, I think it's 10 defeats in a row. Where are they at, and how can they fix this?
Look, before I go into it, at the start of the year, we all had our preview. I picked Cowboys for wooden spoon, but I didn't pick Payton, if you recall, for the sack race.
Yeah.
I said he'll get a hall pass. You remember that?
Yeah.
And then the first no he did, and we did discuss this, is the Taumalolo one where he wanted to put Taumalolo on show, and benched him. He actually benched him. And then I thought, immediately I thought, why is this different to the Warriors? And there's a couple of things that spring to mind. One, the Warriors have juniors that can come through. They're physically ready for the NRL. We know how much talent they have, skill. Every player, whether it's a front rower or a halfback, they got skill. They all have footwork, and they're all big and ready. So if a player's no good, they'll swap him for a young bloke, and he's essentially the same quality sort of player, right? So he had that threat. The Warriors had the depth to do that sort of thing. The other issue that he did with the Taumalolo, he put him on show. The problem is that he didn't earn the right to do that. He hasn't been there for ages. Whereas at the Warriors, he was around these young blokes. They respected him coming through, 18, 19, 20-year-old. Then they turned into NRL players. He had that aura, he had a little bit of aura with these guys. Then he became coach after got sacked, after Kearney got sacked, right? But at Cowboys, he's just going to come in and throw his weight around and hang on, we don't even know you. Like you haven't, do you know what I mean? Like a new coach comes in and your best player, he decides to bench him, then he decides to chuck him on the edge where he's going to get exposed because he doesn't have lateral movement. So he's going to get exposed in defense. Then he cuts his minutes. There's only one benefit from cutting the minutes. It's not a benefit. So there's only one outcome, actually, cutting his minutes. He gets used to playing 60 minutes, 65, 55 minutes. That's all that happened. That's all they got out of it. If he's an 80-minute player, he needs to play 80 minutes to maintain the fitness as an 80-minute player. You don't have to worry about him. It's one less interchange. You put him in the middle. He cuts it up. I know he's not a ball player. I think he's a front rower, because you need your locks to be able to pass a little bit and link up or whatever. That's another story. But they just ruined their best player. And there's a number of other things like the way the way they handled Valentine Holmes and, eased him in and, a bit a tad unlucky with the injuries. Getting rid of Clifford was good. Then getting Dearden, which is exactly the same player in my opinion. The list goes on. They're a basket case, and I agree with you. I reckon they can do back-to-back wooden spoons. I'm calling it from now.
Yeah, well, look, mate, they won't get back-to-back because they won't get it this year. That's the Dogs home and hosed. But I know what you mean. They'll have two pretty much dreadful seasons in a row. Luke, you're obviously across the Dutch, or the Dutch, should we say. And you were around last year, and there was probably a bit of noise over there with Peyton and a good job that he was doing there. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say this is on Peyton. I do think he needs a little bit of time at that club, and I think there was people there that has wanted that fast forward decision making to be done. But what was working so well last year for the Warriors under Peyton that's not working now for the Cowboys under Peyton?
Well, I think Peyton, credit to him in the sense that he's outside the box and he's trialing things. And I think with the Warriors, he obviously did a few things different and they hit the mark. He's gone to the Cowboys, trying to do the same thing. And I think, like Sid probably summed up, really well, actually, in the sense that he's gone in there, walked straight for the door, not really built those relationships and straight away tried to change things straight away and, affecting your results of your best players. And the thing I remember when he first announced the news that he was going to be changing Tamalolo's role, I actually was optimistic because I actually thought, yes, it's good because I compare it to Payne Haas. Payne Haas is playing 80 minutes for a long time. And even though he's so great, you want him out of the field as long as possible. Look, you're still in the back end. He was getting tired and little things. So I thought there was a little bit of tinkering that could be done too. We've seen Payne Haas a bit this year, but also Tamalolo, just making sure, because all his runs are brutal when he's on top form, but just to distribute them a bit better, conserve them a little bit. But the way he has conserved them has just been, not right. But I always go back to that game against the Warriors where it was trending upwards. Valentine Holmes hit the field goal and golden point, I believe, to win it, or was just before golden point. And they haven't won a game since. And look, what happened after that round? Tom Dearden come in, Drinkwater, and also not Drinkwater, sorry, Clifford went out. I'm not blaming it all on Dearden, even though I'm not a big Dearden fan myself, but I think just completely changing a key part of your, obviously, team, your spine. Look, the person that put in the lost 10 rounds since, I'm not completely blaming that, but they were in the 8th year. They were trending upwards. Things were starting to click. Drinkwater's playing his best footy. Holmes is playing his best footy since coming back. So, for me, look, I'm not too sure, but I remember saying to you on your pod, I was actually thinking maybe they were going to push for the 8 next year. I completely disagree. Actually, sitting back and, I've told you before, Cowboys are kind of my second team. I've got to be realistic. I don't think they are. I think they are more likely to be wooden spooners right now.
Yeah, and just quickly on Dearden, I feel sorry for him because next year as well, they've got Chad Townsend coming in. So it's just a weird one. They've brought him mid-year and then he's a halfback. He's on a 5'8", and Chad Townsend's a halfback, not a 5'8". So two starting, as they say, halfbacks can't go into one. So I don't know what's going to happen there. And I'm imagining he didn't come too cheap either, did he? Would have been on a good 3, maybe 400,000 or something like that, which for mine, the Cowboys need to be spending that elsewhere on maybe an edge or back rower or two. That's probably for mine where they're pretty weak at the moment. So
I'm starting to think they'll put Hamiso at fullback now for next year.
Yeah, and what Holmes to wing?
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be interesting. Again, that's just putting a youngster in a key position where there's a lot of pressure at the moment, but it's just going to be it's just interesting how they manage that. But that's a discussion to have a bit deeper in the off season. A quick talking point I want to have here, boys, is just on the Titans. And I put up a post on the page the other day, and everyone probably seen it, is that after watching the weekend and just seeing how good Jaden Campbell is going to be, because I don't think there's any denying the talent this kid has. And he's just a kid, but I tell you what, he moves so well. He's quite tall. He does need to bulk out a little bit more, which will naturally happen. And I don't think he'll go too much bigger because obviously his father was quite a small man when he was playing. But it's an interesting one because they've got him, they've got AJ Brimson, they've got Sexton for next year, who has shown for mine. He's probably now the lead playmaker for that team. They've re-signed Fogarty, and they've got Peachy on the bench at the 14 role. I'm gonna say now that obviously Ash Taylor won't be kept. We can just say he's gone. But out of that, who's the 1, 6, and 7? I'm gonna say Jaden Campbell gets the 1 spot next year. It's Brimson 5'8", and Sexton would be who I ran out with Fogarty maybe playing the 14 role, and Peachy either finding a new club or maybe going into that starting lock role. Sid, where are you finding the Titans balancing this?
Well, now that you put it that way, I didn't realize the predicament. They've got a bit of talent. You're right. I'm a big fan of Fogarty when he came in, and I always like a late bloomer that's ready for the NRL. Because usually what happens when the bloke gets into his early 20s, 22, 23, 24, obviously he gets a job and wants to pay the bills, so he has less time to work on himself. Case in point, say Adam Clune, for example, his build is like a personal trainer, whereas Fogarty's built like an NRL player. And he came in late. That was the first thing I noticed. So what happens is when they dummy and make a half break, he goes through, Clune gets grabbed. And so I like Fogarty. That's my first one. But Sexton's very shown very mature sort of like a creative halfback, but a controlling halfback, and he's got the range of kicking game. And I'm going to use the word calmness. He's got a bit of calmness about him.
He's playing well above his age, I think you're trying to say.
Yeah, definitely. There, well, that's the maturity part, and very Sam Walker-esque, if I may say. Even though Sam
and he's
Walker's
a bit bigger, so he's going to deal with it a bit better.
Yeah, and that's right. He's got a bit of the rough around the edges as well, which is good. You're going to need that in the NRL. I think as good as Campbell is, and I think the league is now entered an era, given how quick it is, where those little guys can survive, like your Campbells and St. George have one similar to Tyrell Sloan, as you know. Very similar players, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're both skinny, they're both very skillful. They don't look at a gap when they go through it. Commentators never say this, they never mention peripheral vision. A guy like Mitchell Pearce, he'll look at the gap and then go for it, and then that's why he gets tackled all the time. That's the instinct. That's the instinct I'm talking about. But yeah, they've got great peripheral vision and speed and balance and turn of speed and timing to back it up. But man, I think they'll stick with AJ. But
I was about to say, give me a lock in 1, 6, and 7.
All right, AJ 1. Oh man, AJ 1. They'll put Fogarty at 6, and Sexton at 7. I think that's where they're going to go. Ash Taylor, bye Charlie, And then I don't know
what do you say? Jaden just buys his time for another year and just floats in and out.
Maybe a 14. I mean, it's a long season. AJ's now playing for Queensland, so you need your depth. You need your depth, and there's nothing wrong with players like hot on his heels to keep him on his toes.
Yeah, 100%. Luke, what's your 1? Yeah, true. Luke, what's your 1, 6, and 7 for the Titans next year?
Tough. I was actually probably going to mix it up, have a completely different combination than you guys, but I'm thinking about it while Sid was talking. I think I'd go Brimson at fullback still. I believe that's still his best position. Yes, I still believe he can impact the game at 6. But I think Sexton, because I originally had Sexton left out, but he's, from what I've seen, he's too good to leave out. And I want Fogarty still in there. He's, like you said, he's a late bloomer, similar to Clune. I think it's a very good comparison. And I think also with this combination, Campbell can be on the bench. And with Campbell on the bench and also in that squad, it's just going to put a bit of pressure on those other guys, keep them accountable for how they're playing. So that's probably what I'd start with. But, like you said, it's a long season. That won't be set in stone. But I do think there's options there, and it's a blessing and a curse for me. But that's probably what I'd go with, and hopefully another topic. But Nicarima potentially as their hooker as well. It looks not likely, but it looks like an option. So hooker's an option there. So it might be also who's the best fit with their number 9, and we'll wait and see who that is.
They're a side where next year, and we'll do some off-season videos about it all, but when they've got the run of the game, which they do now, next year with some of the players they're going to have will be dangerous. I still just think there's some defensive issues at that club and digging deep where they really need to. Look, there's one more point, but we're not going to have time tonight, which is probably a good thing now. We've got a passionate Melbourne Storm man on. I don't think he would have liked some of the stuff I was about to say. So it's good to let's just bypass that. I'll quickly mention it and we'll just see his reaction on a video. He doesn't have to say anything, but I'm just going to call out Pappy and the Melbourne Storm. Now, look, mate, I know you did suffer a very, very serious head injury and it's not good to watch, but I don't like every time you're getting hit anywhere near the head at the moment, you and the Melbourne Storm players act like you've just got shot. So getting close to the finals now, and it's not just on Pappy, he just made me bring it up, but players are starting to stay down again for head knocks or close to head knocks, and it's not a great look, I think, when we're trying to sell our game when it's the best part of the season is now. So he's got a smirk. He wants to bite back, but, mate, you're going to have to do it in a post or something because, unfortunately, we're on the free Zoom still here. So if Zoom, you want to give us some sponsor and give us the free version or the platinum version for free, we're open to it. So but unfortunately, Luke, thanks for your time, mate. I hope you really like the last bit, especially. Good luck to the Storm. Thanks for being 19th man. You might get a start next week. Who knows? But I'll be back with you over the next couple of days to do our GM video. So keep up with that, guys. Watch the Andy Raymond video if you haven't already. Fantastic interview about my beloved Eels, but he's got such a good footy brain. Any rugby league fan should listen to it. It will open your ears up to some of the stuff out there, especially with the media and things like that. And Sid, once again, good to see you, mate. You've got that smile back on your face, which is probably not a good thing for the club. Means that the most passionate Dragons fans are now happy with mediocrity and get back up there, Ed V. Thanks, guys. Have a good week and watch the footy and up the Eels.